What's going on, everybody? We're back again! Again! Can you believe it? I can't. So this is what we're gonna do today. We're gonna do another friggin' 1,000-word story. Yeah. Heckin' yeah, we are. This one's probably, I would say, the most truthful story that I've written so far. Like, I started the trope on the first two of this is a totally real, completely made up story, and I haven't been I didn't follow that thing anymore, but that's okay. That's fine. But this one probably is about the most truthful. This one is also the longest one that we've had so far. This one it's still a 1,000-word story, but it's more like an 1,159-word story. So that's okay. But, yeah, let's get right into it. The title of this story is... Cool. Who doesn't love the feeling of wind in their hair? It's one of those feelings that is unlike any other and can never be replicated. That's exactly what Jack thought while sweat dripped down the side of his face. He had started running to get him in shape and allow him to hold his shots longer. He was about to turn the corner to finish his 4-mile run when he turned the corner and spotted his mom and sister waiting outside the car for him to arrive. He crossed his marker and slowed to a walk. Instantly, his family urged him to run over to them. Ah, shit, really? I just ran 4 miles and you can't let me walk the rest of the way? He thought. As he got closer, he heard them shouting, "Come on, we gotta go! You made the cut!" said his mother. "The cut for what?" he asked. "The tournament in Kansas City! You qualified in 8th, and we need to get up there," his sister said. "Wait, didn't they only take the top 8? He asked. "Yep, let's go," said his mother. He barely made it into the car before she took off. It was convenient that they had planned to go to the range after his run, so his bow was already in the car. As they sped down the streets of Topeka, he realized his shoes were soaked in sweat and made a squishy sound whenever he put pressure on it. "I can't shoot in these. I'll have athlete's foot before I take my first shot," he exclaimed. "There's extra socks and your sliders in the back," said his sister. He reached back behind the seats and caught the package with his fingers. He slipped on the new footwear and relaxed. The trip up to Kansas City was a little more than an hour, but it felt like 3. This was the first time he had qualified in a tournament, and that weighed heavily on him. They finally made it, and everyone jumped out. He grabbed his bow and they rushed to check in the booth. "Y'all just made it," said the attendant. He furiously put his bow together because they were starting in 5 minutes. "Everyone listen up. Round 1 is starting. First up, Miles and Hennon," said the announcer. Jack had to wait a while for his turn to shoot, which heightened his nerves with every arrow that left a string. Eventually, Jack's name was called and he went up to shoot. However, it turned out that his competitors decided not to show up, so he got a bye. His next round, though, would be a bit more difficult. He walked up to the line for the second round and nerves filled his whole body. Because he had had a bye the first round, he had to shoot first. He knocked his first arrow and looked at the exact point that he wanted to hit. This was a 3D tournament, so he was shooting at targets that looked like animals, had unclear targets, and were some unknown distance away. These are all crucial when trying to hit a spot the size of a dime. He concentrated on the spot where he thought the target was and estimated it was 23 meters away. He slowly put his release on the string and pulled it back, without losing eye contact with the faux deer. He peered through the peep sight, like he had done 1,000 times before, and aligned the sight pin just above the leg of the foam animal. In an instant, the release let go, and Jack felt the bow snap in a moment that could be missed by the blink of an eye. The arrow soared through the air in a chaotically controlled manner. The projectile sunk its aluminum point head into the target with a satisfying thud. Jack peered down at the target and saw his arrow went exactly where he wanted it to. "Well, that's a strong start," he thought. He continued shooting, with some of his arrows landing exactly where he wanted them to, and some others being far from it. He let his last arrow fly, and it quickly swept right past his face. It then similarly swept right past the target he was aiming at. It was a complete miss. "Shit, I'm done," he thought. The officials gave the all-clear, and the judges went down the range to score the arrows. They came back, gave the two their arrows, and proclaimed, "The score for Henry is 51, and the score for Jack is 58, which means Jack will be moving into the finals." Jack smiled and let out a sigh of relief. He didn't relax, though, because there was still the final to be shot. It's a good thing he didn't, too, because a moment later the officials declared, that they would be starting the final match right away. Jack picked his bow up and walked to the shooting line and looked at his competitor and simply said, "Good luck," with an outstretched hand. "Good luck," said the archer as he shook Jack's hand. "Due to Gavin qualifying higher, Jack will shoot first," said the official. Jack knocked his first arrow and got ready to shoot. "Begin," Jack heard. This round was different, as the shooters were put on a timer. Each archer only had 10 seconds to get their arrow off before the next archer would shoot. Jack pulled back his string and instantly landed his sight pin on the target. 2 seconds had gone by. He put his finger on the trigger and slowly started pulling back on it. Surprising Jack, the release went off with 4 seconds left, and the arrow flew through the air and landed in the exact middle of the target. A perfect 12. Gavin drew his bow and landed a shot that was so close it touched Jack's arrow. This went on for the next 5 shots. It was so close that no one could tell who had won. At the end, the official said, "Stop!" and the judges went down to score the arrows. They came back and said, "This was a close one, folks. There's only a 2-point difference in the scores, which, as most of you know, is the difference between one arrow. I'll remind everyone that there are 72 possible points. Gavin Henshaw, second to shoot, first in qualifying, managed to score 68 points. Jack Jameson, first to shoot, last in qualifying, managed to shoot 70 points, which makes Jack Jameson our young adult male champion." There were cheers from everyone at the tournament. Jack heard those words and couldn't help but notice how everything felt right. It was as if he felt exactly where he was supposed to be, doing exactly what he was meant to be doing. Everything in him was at peace. And that's what I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed it. I will say that it was definitely inspired and mostly copied from an experience that I had when I was shooting archery. Yeah, thanks for joining me. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Maybe subscribe if you want to. Yeah, thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.